Hello, poor people. How are you today? I trust you're having a miserable life, as usual. Very quickly, I'm going to explain how to improve your communication using one simple key. And majority of you peasants are unconscious as to how much this has fucked your life. You've lost the girl, you've lost the job, you've lost the relationship, all because you're a terrible communicator. And please, I don't want to sound arrogant and reduce all of your life's problems to one single point, but this is the case. Communication is very important as touching life and destiny. In fact, let's analyze this from a business perspective. From a business perspective, if you're unable to transport your brilliant ideas to the mind of your superior in a convincing way, guess what? Exactly. That's why less individuals who are stupid, dumb, but very confident get the promotion. Because as long as you believe in something, there's an energy that comes with belief. Once you believe, other people do too. And reality, as unfortunate as what I'm about to say sounds, this is the case. Reality rewards confidence, not assumption. Reality rewards certainty, not assumption. Nobody cares if or analyzing from the various perspectives. They prefer the guy who would walk in and say, this is what I believe in, and this is exactly what you're going to do. It's better they enjoy the result of failure and the person willing to try as opposed to otherwise. Think of it as a professional from an objective perspective. How liberals, how stupid the ideologists are that someone can convince you in order to improve your happiness or to signal liberty, you must castrate yourself or engage in some kind of degenerate dance or wave a flag to feel happy. 20, 30 years ago, if that ideology was presented, you would slap that person, fuck him up. But look at where we are. People, because they are confident enough to portray their ideals. And I know what you're thinking. But no, the first point is not confidence, is to remove filler words. Remove filler words. Filler words. Makes you sound like a fucking dumbass. Communication is very important, as I astutely highlighted. What's the difference between Steve and Wozniak? Wozniak was the brain behind the whole Apple enterprise. He was the first person who produced, was the engineer behind the computer one. What's the official term? I can't recall, which is very unusual. But he was the engineer behind the first computer. But Steve, a charismatic leader, confident, believed in what he believed. He never wrote one line of code and he built a software company. How does someone who has no background in coding build a software company, scale it to billions of dollars? Exactly. Good communication. In fact, if not for the demise of the great Steve Jobs, which spawned the biography, nobody would have known who Steve Wozniak is. Who the fuck is Wozniak? Nobody would have known who he is because he was more shy and he preferred to code and he didn't want attention. Unfortunately, those are attributes of a poor communicator. Anybody who has a very good communication is assertive, wants himself in the limelight, wants to be out there. All of this introvertness, and social anxiety is a consequence of poor communication. So back to the original point. The original point is to remove filler words. The it makes you sound dumb. So why do you use it? Why do individuals, although they sound stupid, engage in this form of communication? The first one, as I said in the previous videos, you peasants are very dumb. You lack awareness. There is an attribute identified in someone else which you detest. You hate the way he speaks. You hate the way the lecturer bores you for 2 3 hours straight. And yet, you import that same communication in your daily life. And you wonder why you are where you are. How you do the small things is how you do the big things. If you lack awareness in general, you would always lack awareness in other areas. I have no idea why these points are leading into different points that would further move us away from the original points. So let's take to the first one. Filler words. The reason you use filler words is because you fear being interrupted. You're not confident enough to endure silence. That's why you entertain the listener with any other word than silence. Most people fear being interrupted in communication, which is a very stupid mindset to uphold, by the way, because except it's a professional setting, during normal dialogue, you are allowed to interrupt the person, but not constantly, else it becomes overbearing. Most people, this is how their discourse is. They speak, they wait for the other persons to finish before they continue. But it's a terrible form of communication. It should only be adopted in a professional setting. You don't go, really? Oh, when did that happen? How? Those are comments you should chip when having dialogue. For that reason, it seems as though your relationship with your partner or you're trying to approach someone is contrived, it's mechanical, because you're spitting out bullshit, you're speaking from a professional standpoint. Whereas with your friend, you'll be jovial, you'll be comfortable, you're not concerned with how your friend sees you. In fact, this is an important mindset to adopt when trying to make friends or networking or approaching someone. You shouldn't care what the other person thinks. Because when this is the case, you would naturally act in ways to, that you think would appeal to the person, causing you to be repellent. Because when you're trying to impress someone, it's most likely you're obsequious, you're servile, you laugh at their rubbish jokes, you're ingenuine. All of that is an energy transmitted to the listener, causing you to be repellent. As I've said countlessly, peasants would listen to this and go, not me, well, not me. No, these are actions you execute unconsciously. Observe your life as an average bourgeoisie approaching the person you like. It's most likely you're trying to portray some other character other than yourself. It's not you speaking. You and I both know you. You don't smile. You don't laugh at stupid jokes. You don't give a shit about any other person except you. That is the same character you should introduce into the relationship. In fact, let's analyze as professionals. If you portray something other than yourself, say it works, let me grant that it works, then it's not you the partner is interested in or the person you've portrayed yourself to be. But once you're yourself, the kind of friends you have that would love you for you are the only ones who would gravitate. Anything other than that is fake. So communication can be improved by removing filler words. It makes you sound very unprofessional. You wouldn't notice you do this until you stop. Then you watch how most people's conversation are plagued with it. So one of the first things to do to implement this in your life is to pause. Give yourself time to recollect. You see what I did there? Refrain your mindset from, if I pause, the conversation would be guided away from me, to, if I pause, it draws the listener. He's obsessed with my next word. Watch this video back. Take it 30, 50 seconds back. You would see at every instance of which I paused, you were leaned in. You kind of, it drew you in. You wanted to know what I would say next. That's how powerful the pause is. So to them, you're some profound speaker, but to you, you're recollecting your thoughts. So recap for the average peasant. First, I gave you the importance of communication and their vast effects of how it fucks your life. The second, I elaborated on confidence and what it does to your communication. The third, I gave you the main point of tonight's discourse, which is removing filler words. The fourth, I gave a practical application of how this can be introduced to your life. So, my friends, without further ado, as always, my friends,